All right, let's get to work on our show creation completion date widget at the bottom. Okay, we're gonna piggyback off of our selection monitor lambda thing. That's where is that? Is that here? Yeah, we're gonna piggyback off of this thing since this monitor is what's currently selected. This guy right here. All right, we'll just put it before our tree saver guy. Okay, number one, let's see, struct task info viewer. That's a good name for it. It's gonna be a component. We're gonna need a tree to read from. Private value tree. Autocomplete? No autocomplete. Xcode, you gotta get your autocomplete game together. We're gonna need a function to update the tree because every time we click on something different, we're gonna change that tree. Okay, so let's see, void update tree value tree t. And we can just do tree equals t, and then we need to repaint. That means we need a paint function, void paint graphics g override. Let's look at our implementation of this guy. Let's go up to the top. We'll put this above our tree saver. All right, so void task info viewer paint graphics G. Let's just kill this real quick and do a build, make sure we don't have any syntax errors to begin with in that declaration of the class. Oh, and we do. Yeah, there it is. There's always one. All right, one more time. Okay, good to go. All right, let's dig in on this. All right, so in our paint function, now that we have it stubbed out, let's do a rounded rectangle border first. So we'll do, let's see, g.setColor, colors black. And we'll do our rounded rectangle, g.fill rounded rectangle, local bounds to float, get local bounds to float. Let's give it a corner size of like 4, that seems okay. It's, not too noticeable. We'll fill it with a smaller rounded rectangle that's all white. That'll give us just a nice black border around it. G.setColor. Colors white, and then do the same thing and just make this a little bit smaller. We'll just reduce it. Dot reduce. We want the one that returns rectangle. 2. There we go. Okay, now we can do if tree dot is valid. Always got to check, make sure your value trees are valid before you use them. Right now we can put together a string that we're going to display. Okay, we'll create a 2-line string and use g.drawFittedText to display it. So let's do that first. G.setColor, colors black, and our string that we're going to display. And let's see, if tree.has property, what did we call this thing? Let's just look for, it was something with date. Okay, so date created, this is the string we want. This is why we need to standardize that stuff, because it's annoying to have to do that, and it's just going to get worse until we actually go about standardizing that stuff. Okay, so we're going to do text date created, and then let's see, we can do time from ISO, and then we can get that string, the tree property. If you remember what the ISO thing looks like, it's this right here, where it shows the year, the month, the day, and then a 24-hour time clock, and then the time zone. Okay, so we have to convert that to something that doesn't look horrendous. Let's see, tree date created dot toString. That's our time guy, and then so we want to turn this into a nice looking string, so we can use the toString function here, which returns a string function. Returns a string version of this date and time using this machine's local time zone. So we want to include the date, we want to include the time. I think that's right. Yeah, convert that property into a time object and then convert that time object into a nice looking string. Because that ISO string, I don't know about you, but I really don't want to see this for looking at the date that our thing was completed or created. It's really hard to see what it's actually going to be. Okay. If tree.has property, we want to do the other one. What was that other property? It was over here. Date completed. This is the one we want. Again, another reason why we need to standardize our identifiers for tree property lookups. Let's see, text. I think there's like a new line. Yeah, this guy right here. This class is used to represent a new line character sequence. This is cross-platform friendly, so we can do that. Now we can do text date completed. And now we can do the same time from ISO. We can do this same thing right here. And we just need to grab this property here. Where was that? Where was I? Here I was. Okay. We want to do that. Now we just need to, if text dot is not empty, if we have a string, because again, none of this is going to happen if our tree is not valid. And our tree may not be valid because we may decide that if we want to show that there's nothing selected, then we'll just pass an empty value tree in, which means it won't have these properties, which means this is not going to paint. So we will do g.draw fitted text. We're going to draw our text. We're going to draw it in a rectangle. Let's see, get local bounds dot reduced. Let's see. All right, this guy was the full size. This guy was reduced by 2, and we want a little bit more of a border, so we could, let's try 6. Maybe that'll look cool. And we want 2 lines, and we want it centered on the left side. So justification, what are our choices? Centered, right, top, left will work. Okay. All right, let's put all this on its own line so it's easy to look at. Okay, so let's give ourselves one now that we have one. Let's put that down at the bottom of our TaskQueue item container. Put that right here, task info viewer. Oops, let me spell that right. Task info viewer, like that. Let's compile this, just make sure it's cool. All right, compiled successfully. Okay, let's add it as a child. So we need to do that in our constructor. It's gonna go here at the end of this list after new button. Task info viewer. And this is an array of pointers. Like that, there we go. All right, now in our resized function, we need to make it look like something. Got to give it some bounds. All right, so let's stick it above our bottom row and below the tree view. Let's just add a flex box here. It's only going to contain this one thing, so we can just copy this and rename this to be info row. Let's change the component. That's going to be the task info viewer. Okay, and let's see. Now we need to squeeze it in here between the tree row and the bottom row. So we'll add this guy here. And it's not tree row, it's info row. And let's see. We might have to play around with this height a little bit. Let's see. We'll definitely have to play around with this. Let's just see what this looks like first. We should see a rounded rectangle at minimum. Okay. Yeah, so we definitely want to squeeze that down. Let's try 0.2. We'll start there. All right, that's cool. What happens if we increase this? Okay, so we don't want it to get bigger. We don't want it to get super small like that. So let's give it a minimum and a maximum size. Maybe 30 to 50, something like that. Min height, max height, just like we did here. Copy, paste. Let's change this to 30 minimum, and we'll do 50 maximum. Let's see what that looks like. All right, so it's always 20. Oh, there it got a little bit smaller. Here it's just like stuck at 50. So I kind of like the way 50 looks, so let's just make it always 50. So we'll just do with height 50. Let's just do that. fb.items.add flex item info row with height 50. Let's see if this does it. If not, I'm perfectly fine with this minimum 30, maximum 50. All right, that's always 50. So that's cool. Notice that when we make this really small, the buttons themselves shrink a little bit too. So we might do the same thing for this guy, where our bottom row is always 30 and our top row is always 30 as well. We might decide to do that, but I'm fine with the way everything is right now.